ladies and gentlemen, on the guest list this week, possibly the most prolific guitar teacher in the history of the world, Marty's Music. Marty Schwartz on the podcast. Marty, how are you, buddy?
Hey, what's up? Oh my God, thank you guys. Thank you so much for having me. It's quite an honor, I must say. Thank you.
Honor is all on this side. So I will start here. Two different things, by the way. One, you haven't responded to any of my song requests via DM. I was a little offended by that.
Okay.
I wanted Dissident by Pearl Jam, and then another one. I looked it up this morning. Oh, it's Mariah Carey, I'll Always Be My Baby.
Okay, honestly, those are both awesome. Where did you do the requesting?
It was
DMing
Instagram
on
DMs.
Instagram. Okay.
I wasn't expecting a response. I'm sure you get flooded.
Okay. No, but both of those are great. Always a big Pearl Jam fan. They're a little tricky to teach because it's like usually 3 or 4 guitar parts playing at once.
Yep.
But I love both of those suggestions. And like the Mariah Carey is honestly, those are really fun to translate into like acoustic songs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the Anderson East version, right?
Right.
Oh,
right.
Okay. Once again, I was saying, I say this a lot, is I'm making so many videos that I'm barely keeping up with anything else.
How many do you think you pump out a week?
Well, I'm trying to like get ahead right now. So the goal is always to be about 2 weeks ahead, and I'm releasing, every day pretty much. Right now I am like almost 2 months ahead.
So when I was speaking with Matt, you're from your management team, he said, are you going back and forth between Nashville and the West Coast right now?
Yeah. I've been working. He is part of a network that manages my YouTube channel and helps me run everything and strategize. And they've actually more recently been really great, hooking me up with guys like Marcus King and, that I just interviewed, and a younger artist. It's really interesting. There's the younger Gen Z generation that's coming up, and what I'm starting to notice now from this younger 20-something generation of musicians that are starting to get known, I was just there. I was just part of their existence. It's almost like they don't comprehend that YouTube and learning guitar didn't exist like that before. I'm just like part of their journey, where it's almost just so organic they wouldn't even shout me out because it just was there.
It's because you are the blueprint now. As to when I was a kid, I had to learn tabs, or I didn't learn. I'm a freak. I didn't learn tabs, but now you are tabs. Like, do you realize? Do you realize the footprint that you currently have? Because I'm just going to say this right away. 3.5 million subscribers on your main page is ridiculous.
For a one-man show. I mean,
Thank you.
Sports, who I work for, I think we got like 6 on YouTube.
It's crazy.
And that's a massive media conglomerate, to do what you do is insanely impressive. And prior to you hopping on the show, Colin kind of called you the Genghis Khan of guitar teachers. You just he had like 900 kids. I was trying to do the math on this the other day. It was 900 kids they say he had to 1,000 or something. So we're all tangentially related to him. Every single guitar player on the planet, a novice like me to an actual touring musician like Colin, has used you as a way to learn guitar.
I didn't get the Genghis Khan part until you started to get further in it, because I could also be like the Kevin Bacon.
No, Genghis Khan. You're Genghis Khan. Doesn't matter.
No, Genghis Khan is way better.
No, but the thing is, too, from my perspective, like I don't need guitar lessons at this point in my life. But the one thing that I know you from, because me and David bonded over this, to where, and we're going to get to this, you're going to help us turn Dave into a guitar player. But for me, I watch your product reviews and different things like that. I was going to pick between, I think it was a Dot or a 335 recently, and I was going through videos of yours that you were going through features on different guitars. So no matter what level you are at, you have a fingerprint on everybody right now. So when did you realize this was fucking coming together?
Wow. Well, I was a full-time musician, sideman, taught guitar as my day job. So I never was like, oh, I'm a guitar teacher for a living. I was like, I am a guitarist for a living. And all the guitar players that were my mentors, they taught me guitar. They played in a bunch of bands and they recorded. And then every once in a while, they'd go out on the road with somebody. They weren't famous, but they had this great carved out niche. So I was just kind of trying to follow in those footsteps. I randomly taught elementary school music in 2005. I mean, it's part of my like,
Journey.
you know, what's the, you know,
Lore.
your quick bar, the elevator pitch would be, especially in the beginning. I was an elementary school music teacher that got laid off in the financial crisis of 2008. I started making YouTube videos to promote myself to get more private students. And then that took on a life of its own. And I kept, I was also in my mid 30s with a baby who's now about to go away to college.
Congratulations.
So, you know, there's all that. Thank you. It's all that like scrambling, like, oh, I can't be like a bum guitar player anymore. Like, you know, the looking at your kid in diapers, the economy's crashing. I got laid off. Like I was just scrambling and it was not a fun time. It was so stressful, but there's so many stories like that. Oh yes, origin story. That's what I was going for.
That's a word.
My origin story. Yes. Like the superhero origin story. But so yeah, it was just a super desperate, stressful time. Losing the work opened up free thinking in my brain to take action and have free time to try something else. So I was in the same spot I'm in right now. By the way, this is my garage here in San Diego. And it's where the whole thing started. I got laid off. They called me in, laid me off. I drove back into this garage here. It's a little bit nicer setup now. But I drove into the same room and I played a cover of Beatles' Don't Let Me Down and consciously put it on YouTube. And that was my first conscious, like, okay, I am going to just start making YouTube videos and I don't know why or what's going to happen from it.
And
so that was 2008.
I don't know when YouTube became YouTube, but it wasn't too long before then. So the forward thinking that you had to even do that, like, because there's a million people you can Google or just Google like dissident guitar lesson, you know, and there'll be 20, 30, 40, a million different videos. But if it's a song that you have covered and that you have taught, you know, or put on YouTube, you are the first guy. It's got hundreds of thousands of views, sometimes millions. Like the first actual song I learned to play through you start to finish was Sweet Home Alabama. And I would sit there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, so from that perspective,
it's crazy.
Well, from that perspective, we talked to, this is actually a perfect time to have you on because so many people that we've had on this podcast were in the same situation going into COVID to where things fell apart. The music industry fell apart, but there has been great, innovation from that tragedy. And one of them is on the Guest List podcast. The shit would not have happened if it wasn't for fucking COVID. And to know, I did not know that it started from that point for you, but you obviously turned fucking trash into gold.
Yes.
If you want to quote the great Sixers announcer, Mark Zimoff.
Yeah, and so I can tell you the interesting steps. It was like I thought I was super innovative. I had a laptop camera and some of my students would say, this is a classic guitar teacher thing. Every guitar teacher will know this. You show up and the student says, oh, I didn't practice this week. Or I forgot how it goes. It was these things you'd hear over and over. And I was frustrated with this, slacker kid. And, a lot of the kids, not every student was passionate about it. Like about 30% were just like, would eat it all up. And the other 70%, it was like, I'm going to soccer today. You've got guitar tomorrow, But so those kids that weren't super passionate, I remember I was teaching this kid Fire by Jimi Hendrix. And it was like the third week in a row where he was just like, oh yeah, I didn't play, I didn't practice, nothing. I said, all right, forget it. I'm going to flip my camera up on my laptop right now. And I'm going to play through the riff really slow just for you. And his name's Colton. Shout out Colton in San Diego. I'm going to put your name in the title and I'm going to put it on YouTube. And then that way I'm going to check the views. And you can't,
smart.
And you can't tell me that you couldn't find it because the first word in the title is going to be your name. So it was like Colton, October 6th, 2007
I'm looking this up
lesson.
right now.
Oh, I don't think it's up anymore.
Okay.
No, they're not up. But I'm so legit now. I had to take those down.
Oh, you got to get rid of the early ones.
Yeah, no, the secret's out. No.
There's a couple really old ones that are still up though.
Oh yeah. I know. So I I put it up on YouTube and it got 5 views or whatever. And so that was step 1. Step 2, I was like, okay, I'm going to start doing that with all my students. And then when someone calls on a referral, I can send them to my YouTube channel so they can see my style. And it's innovative because I'll make video clips for you. This is great. Blah, blah, that was my innovation. It wasn't where it ended up now. It was just one step at a time where I kept learning little things. Like the biggest thing I learned was a total accident with one of the kids. Instead of putting his name first and the date, I still remember the song. It was Mississippi Queen. Shout out to Mountain Mississippi Queen, which, by the way, a little kid was asking to learn it in 2006 or 7 because of Guitar Hero. So another shout out to an amazing ally of the guitar is Guitar Hero, because a little kid would never know Mississippi Queen otherwise. But I still remember it. I typed how to play the intro to Mississippi Queen by Mountain Ford Chase, blah, blah, blah. And it got like, a few hundred views as opposed to 10 views just by the title. So I was like, ooh, I'm just going to do that every time now. And then all of a sudden, one just kind of started to blow up. I don't even remember because there wasn't one viral video. It was like, ooh, everyone I do now gets like 300 views. This is really cool. And then it was like, everyone gets 500 views. I'm like, oh, this one's starting to, I think it was Hotel California, Oh, this one all of a sudden it had 30,000 views. Oh my God, what would it be like if I had, 1,000 subscribers? What would that feel like? And then it was, I do distinctly remember it was probably about a year and a half, 2 years later. I remember thinking, what would it be like if I didn't even teach private lessons anymore and I only did videos for my living? Like, what would that would be amazing. And then it happened, and so each thing has just been a slow, gradual, step by step. And something interesting, which makes sense, but not everyone thinks about it. The pandemic was, for my channel and everything, was huge.
I was just about to ask.
Yeah.
That's how I picked up a guitar 2 years ago.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you think about that, I was so prepared already. I was already doing the thing for a living, working from home, making videos, reaching people through the internet, all the stuff I had been doing for over a decade when the pandemic hit. So yes, people grabbing a new hobby, people having more time to play guitar, people needing distraction, therapy, all these different kinds of aspects came about. And so I had this really unnatural spike right in that first 6 months of the lockdown and all that. But I would say now, a couple years out, I'm still doing better than my original trajectory before the pandemic. So there's more guitar players now. I'm still, YouTube, the internet's changing so fast, chasing the algorithm, all that stuff. And I just pump out a video every day because it works for me, and I'm just going to keep going because I really enjoy it. And I have all these amazing other opportunities. I was just on this trip in Nashville for 2 weeks where basically every day I did something epic that's going to be on video.
Can you tell us any of it?
Yeah, well, Marcus King at the Ryman Theater.
Oh, at the Ryman.
Yeah. Ooh. So we did a shoot there in Johnny Cash's dressing room.
Amazing.
So that was really epic. I jammed with a great young guitar player named Daniel Donato.
Yeah, I know Daniel Donato. That's amazing.
Okay, yeah. So I jammed with his band. I also jammed with this group called the Pitch Meeting, which is a 10-piece professional band in Nashville. That's like you'll love this because this is only a Nashville kind of thing. It's called Pitch Meeting. It's every Tuesday in Nashville. And if you're a songwriter in Nashville, which that's where all the songwriters are basically now, you can go up, and these musicians are so good that you can just show them your song, your original song on the spot. and they will perform it and back you up. And there's a great audience. So it's like open mic night, but only for original music. And so I was a featured artist in that. And what was really great was it was tons of people in their 20s participating, and a bunch of music students from Belmont University in Nashville. And it was amazing to be out and meet these people that used to be too young that learned from me in the beginning, and now they're out doing this stuff. And I'm getting to meet them now, and it's a whole new generation. I was super used to the, no offense to the, I am not a boomer, guys. I'm a Gen X, but a lot of boomers. That was my number one demo. But now there's this whole Gen Z thing that's exploding, and I'm kind of like just always been there for them.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. So I worked with and made a video with another young artist, up and coming. He shout out Briston Maroney.
Yes, I love Briston Maroney. What, dude? This is awesome.
Yeah. So Briston Maroney totally learned guitar from me.
That's.
I mean, well, I don't want. No, let me rephrase that. He used my videos to teach himself guitar.
Genghis Khan.
I'm perfectly comfortable not taking credit for actually teaching people, because it's up to you guys. You know, you had to do that first lesson and decide to do the next one, right? It's totally up to the people. The people did it. I'm just glad it was my information, you know, and hopefully because I taught little kids, and I taught so many private lessons, and it's probably just it is actually my superpower, is my personability, communication skills, just being relaxed about it, not like being that strict. I was so used to going to lessons and watching their hands shake and being so feeling so much pressure because they're being judged by a teacher, and maybe they didn't practice, or maybe they're just scared to be one-on-one with someone. You know, I was so used to like diffusing and being funny, and just always like getting them to enjoy the time and, you know, sneak that guitar into it.
Well, Marty, I want you to know, you're kind of looking at one of your progeny here, because honestly, if it wasn't for you, I don't know that this podcast would exist. Because my friend David over here, the reason this happened, he had hit me up and asked me to teach him how to play the guitar. And that's how this relationship blossomed. But Dave started playing went to
Philly. I'm in Chicago, so it's not like we could meet up in the afternoons and, you know, teach me the G chord and all that. So it's true. Awesome. It's like butterfly effect stuff. And on that exact note, the reason I originally hit you up via email and your management team and all that was I watched your video playing. You were just jamming out with Ed King from what was that, like?
He wrote Sweet Home Alabama.
That's exactly. So he wrote the song. I watched a documentary after it, which is outstanding. If you haven't seen it yourself, or if anybody listening hasn't seen it, but it's only like an hour and a half long too. It's in and out on Netflix right now. But I read in the comments on the YouTube, it's like some guy, I was one of the top comments. You can go and look at it right now, I'm sure.
Okay.
He's like, yeah, I think he said New Jersey. So Collins neck of the woods. He's like, yeah, I was jamming out in my garage. And then one of the guys I was jamming out with said, hey, I know someone who can actually teach us to do this right. He'll be over in a little bit. And it was Ed King. So I was like, oh man, Ed King seems super, super approachable. And so I'm like, Ed King contact info, whatever I said. I didn't realize he passed away like a year or two ago. Rest in peace. And I'm like, know what? Let's just hit up Marty and have him tell the story kind of firsthand. How did that even come to be? I mean, he's a god of rock. He wrote one of the all-time great classic rock songs, you know?
Yeah. And rest in peace, Ed King. That video was a really good one for me. It actually opened the door for a bunch of other interviews that I've gotten. You know, it was a good first step. That was my network, you know, the contacts in Nashville. He lived in Nashville. So it was all through my music. So for the last 10 years, I've been working in Nashville, you know, every month and a half, every 2 months. Really depends. You know, we book things out. I have stuff booked in November. I have stuff booked in November right now. In fact, I have a a live event on November 15th at the Gibson Garage in Nashville.
We were just there
months ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyone on that day, anyone from the public can just come up. And I mean, it's going to be random picking, but usually everyone that really wants to come up can come up and either play a tune with me or learn something from me. And it's on, and the video ends up on my channel and stuff. So that's been a really cool thing. But the Ed King, my Nashville people, all my, networking for 10 years, they hooked that up. And he was really proud of, especially Sweet Home Alabama. In his hallway, he had, and he was a character. I mean, he called it Narcissist Hall. So that's what he called it, not me, right? So in the hallway was, and it was a long hallway, and it was a large house. And his dog was named Bama, as in Sweet Home Alabama. And he had movie posters for every movie that Sweet Home Alabama had been in.
So every movie ever made.
At all.
No, I would do the same thing.
Yeah, just this long hallway of all these framed movie posters. One that was classic was, and it was one of the most recent ones, was Despicable Me, where the Minions first come from.
Yeah.
So in the very beginning of Despicable Me, Sweet Home Alabama is in it. Because it's like a Southern family is at the pyramids.
What movie doesn't have Sweet Home Alabama in it? Like, I'm going through my head right now.
How about the movie Sweet Home Alabama?
Yeah, exactly. There's a movie called
Literally.
I think you get paid twice for that.
Yeah, licensing goes twice there. Holy shit. No wonder you had a giant house. Sync licensing is the way to go. So if you write a song like Sweet Home Alabama, you can have a Narcissist Hall. That's exactly how it happens.
It's everywhere. Part
Part
of the
ahead. He had a 59 Les Paul that Jason Isbell bought after he passed.
No way. That's dude, I love Isbell so much.
Yeah. So a 59 Les Paul Sunburst is like the holy grail guitar. Joe Bonamassa knows exactly how many are left and the missing serial number. I mean, literally.
If you want to get into nerd talk, we can get into nerd talk about guitars because this is right up my fucking alley.
I love it. But so the 59 Les Paul, Ed King had a beautiful one. He let me play it. It was called Red Eye. And when he passed, Jason Isbell bought it from his wife. I don't actually know how much, but those go from anywhere, $600,000 to $1 million.
When you checked out the garage down in Nashville, did you go in the little bank vault they have in the basement? Is that even the basement or in the side room?
It's like the stage,
the vault.
The vault. Yeah. I don't even know if we can talk about that.
I don't think we can.
Yeah.
I brought a camera. I brought a camera in there, and the woman who was showing us the vault, and I was asking her questions on camera, and she was like, "How about you put the camera down and we'll talk about prices here, Chief?"
Oh yeah. No, I think I mean it's cool. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to make it mysterious, but yeah, I mean, I don't think it's really. I think I can talk about it. I'm a Gibson ambassador. I think it's all right. Or actually, I don't know what my title is, but I work with Gibson.
Hell yeah.
And they've been amazing to me. So that's a pinch me moment, just working with a brand like that. And, there's a classic video where I got to tour the factory as this guitar was made, and then they gave it to me at the end of the video.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What's in there right now, pickup wise? Is that stock pickups or anything special?
Yeah, no, just totally stock. But I got to pick, the block inlay, for instance. I picked red because of Marty McFly.
Oh, okay.
I like it.
Yeah, Marty McFly, and then the block inlays. BB King had block inlays, and 335's always been my go-to guitar. I've played a lot of funk and rhythm and blues before YouTube existed, and it was great. You can rock with it, but you can get kind of jazzy with it too. So it was always the great.
The 335 is so versatile. That's why it's my favorite guitar in history.
Yeah, and you can get the feedback with the sound holes.
Yeah, well,
I'm quoting Nigel there.
If you have
the
P90s in
Spinal
it, you
Tap.
can make that shit scream. But when you shouldn't put P90s in a fucking 335.
No, you put it in your second 335.
Oh my god,
Right?
I love this shit. What? Well, hold on. So you have a large collection behind you, obviously. If for anybody watching on YouTube,
Yeah.
do you have a
Yeah.
personal favorite guitar that you own?
Well, this one symbolizes all my journey up
Yeah.
to getting acknowledged by, the best guitar company, and then giving me a guitar and working with them. It symbolizes all the 30 years really of grabbing a guitar and dream. I had stars in my eyes, and I would play all the 90s jam bands is what I grew up with when I started playing guitar. That's like when I grabbed the guitar was Blues Traveler and Fish and Allman Brothers and more classic rock. But the fact that there were this new crop of bands that sounded more like the Grateful Dead and the Allman Brothers, that was really exciting to a 17, 18-year-old me. And I just had to play a couple chords, I was not to become a musician. It was just, man, I just want to be able to, when I see someone's guitar at someone's house, I want to at least be able to play one chord. And then it was 2 chords, and then it was 3 chords.
Rest, yeah.
That's actually Dave's goal, is just to be able to play a couple chords
It's
around a campfire.
It's a great way to learn. I'm telling you what, because there's no pressure. I think there's no pressure, and it's really enjoyable to learn the first 4 chords. Like, there's so many famous songs that you could just stick with that. And that's what my dad did. My dad knew like 4 or 5 chords, like whole time. Never progressed. So there was a guitar like lying around in the house, but I wasn't, with musical parents or anything. But that's it. And that's what I tried to that's how the videos are. My videos try to come off that way. And when I used to teach, that's what I try and do. It's just like, because you want to get them hooked. If you get hooked, then it's your own journey where you're like, man, I just got to learn that next thing, So yeah.
What's your biggest piece of advice to the people watching your videos? Is it repetition? Is it getting that itch? Like, for someone like Dave, who is beginning his journey as a musician, what would your biggest piece of advice be?
Man, I mean, if the more fun you can get out of it from the very beginning, the more motivating I think it'll be. I've always been about enjoying it, because people go, Marty, I lost my motivation. Like, what do I do? And that's the certain message around. Obviously, I understand getting stuck in a plateau, and we all know the answer to getting out of a plateau. We just avoid it. It's learning something new.
Yep.
It's real simple, but it's psychological. You know what I mean?
What I found, and I don't know if this is the same for other people in general, but actually, so I'm sure you're familiar with AWOL Nation. One of our other co-hosts who just had twins, he's not here right now. He's one of the founding members of AWOL Nation. And I'll play a song horribly. I'll preface it by saying horribly, like 4 or 5 hours one night, and I'll just get frustrated and pissed off. I'll sleep on it a night or two, and then like a day or two later, I'll pick up, and then that it's conquered. It's off, and then there's another plateau. It's weird.
Oh, man. Okay, so what, I can totally relate to that, obviously, because it's all I do every day. What's the you mentioned the Pearl Jam song Dissident?
Yep.
There's the that acoustic one, have I told with a more complex, like dun 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 dun. You know that one?
Yeah.
Are you dude, this is awesome. I love this.
Yeah. So I love that song, and that pattern doesn't come comfortable. It's not like I just heard that song, and I've been playing guitar 30 years. I didn't hear that song and then go, oh yeah, I'm just going to go over and play it right now. I didn't do that. I started it, worked on it. If I was feeling good that first day, maybe like 15 minutes, and it was just crap, but I started it, and I went really slow. I was like, all right, I'm just going to back burner that, go to some AC/DC or something I know well. Oh, here's something I know. I'll teach a blues lick now and make a video. Okay, and then the next day, another 20 minutes. The next day, later that night on the couch, the TV's on. I'm just working the pattern.
Yep.
Just working the pattern. and it was maybe a week later I shot it. And by that week later, and there was no magic at all. I just put in 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there. But about a week later, I just nailed it, at least for that first 45 seconds.
Marty, here's an interesting question too for the teacher. How did you learn? Did you take lessons?
Yeah.
Did you do tabs? Are you an ear guy? Like, how did you learn as a kid?
If I'm a guitar teacher, I have to be a proponent of having guitar lessons, right?
Of course.
So I'm never going to not say that. I got the 90s jam band bug senior year of high school. Had a couple friends that played guitar really well already. I'm still friends with them. I bought a harmonica. So instead of watching them jam, maybe I could learn enough to then not only watch, but actually be a part of it.
And then be John Popper.
Yeah.
Only if,
Right.
And so I was able to figure out enough to start jamming with my friends and be around more to then have them show me the basic chords. So my friends showed me, just like you guys, just the A chord, A minor, E, C, all that stuff, and the basic pentatonic scale, and it was just one little step at a time until all of a sudden I could play like some Neil Young tunes. I could play some like Rocky Raccoon or Hide Your Love Away, those classic G, D, C, Knocking on Heaven's Door, yep. Wish You Were Here, all the classics, and I was like, yeah, man, I got this going. I got this happening really quick. It was like in a few weeks or so, and I loved it. And so then I asked my mom, I said, hey, I want to just take some lessons at some shop. I'm like totally into this now. And I think that now that I can play a little bit, that if I went into lessons, I could probably have someone just show me a bunch of cool stuff. So I just did that for a few months, because then I went away to college to study film because I wasn't a great guitar player. And then when I went to college, all I did was hang out with musicians. I just stayed on that same journey progression, and I haven't jumped off that train. So that was 93, and I've never not played guitar every single day. So, or unless I was out of town, I didn't have a guitar. So yeah. Oh, I want to mention something about the hat, because you said you make fun of it, which is fine.
It's more ball busting than
well, no, and it's also the fact that I have this. I went through a phase. I spent a lot of time in Nashville. I write songs for CSAC. I'm from Philadelphia, and I came home with one of those hats, and my friends destroyed me because
absolutely.
So about the hat,
okay. So
they're more making fun of me than you, to be completely honest.
No. But I've had it where it's been in and out of style now a couple times, and I'm stuck with it. But the only thing I want to say about the hat is, well, now, I mean, I'm 47 now, so I'm follically challenged at this point. But when it started, I wasn't. But what I will say is I probably wouldn't have that initial spark without it, because you couldn't make your own thumbnails back in 2008. It would just capture one.
Yep.
And the very first big, truly viral video was for a different website. I won't name it. It was for a different website where I was a hired instructor because I was trying to get out there. And I didn't even say my name in the video. And it was a blues video. It did really well. And all the comments were, where's the guy in the hat? We want the guy in the hat back. And then, because you couldn't make your thumbnail, I really stood out in the silhouette of all those thumbnails in the beginning, man. Like, I'm telling you. And it's great. Like, I love seeing a guitar teacher that's wearing the exact same hat. It makes me chuckle. Like, I love it. But truly it was part of that. And now it's like, if I didn't have the hat when I went to Marcus King concert, am I really my
that's your brand?
Are you Marty?
Yeah, exactly. Slash can go out without the top hat.
Ray Vaughn.
He's gonna wear they're gonna wear the hat. Marcus King had his hat too, so all I can say is it truly has been my friend more than not. And of course you can bust are you kidding? I'm a YouTuber. I have to be able to take
that's true
hat humor.
We were just talking about this before, because Dave gets destroyed in the comments on Barstool Sports, and I was like, just don't read, dude. Fuck them. We don't care about them. Do you read the comments?
Have you heard of the Streisand effect, the Barbra Streisand effect?
I've heard of it, but I don't know what it is.
Refresh my memory. Yeah, same with me.
It would basically be like if someone just ripped into you on Twitter, and you responded, and your response now made all your fans see the negative comment in the first place, when if you wouldn't have responded, it would have just faded into a million other comments and no one would have ever seen it.
Yep. Look at Dave.
And
I just
it's
can't
called,
do
no,
it.
it's no, no, and I won't name who, but there's plenty that can't do it either. But it's called the Streisand effect because Barbara Streisand tried to fight the paparazzi. Were going to release her address of her like Santa Barbara estate, and she tried to fight it, but the filing is public. So like when it was filed publicly, the address was then now public. And like she basically shot herself in the foot. Now like everyone knew her address because she was trying to fight no one knowing her address. And so it's
why you
it's
don't
that.
throw
But
bread. It's why you don't throw bread to seagulls, dude, because then they just swarm.
don't feed the troll. Don't feed the troll.
Yeah.
I will say I am very fortunate to have, you know, I don't know, man, 95, 99% positive comments.
Yeah.
I'm not very divisive or anything. All I'm doing is, you know, I'm showing guitar. I mean, of course,
True.
there's the, you know, the dudes in their bedroom that say, you know, that's wrong. That's not where you played it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was their voice, but
It was definitely
you know,
their voice.
by all means, I have made mistakes, or I've done something by ear, or I've done something because it's like there's 5 different guitar layers, and I'm figuring out my own version if there was only one guitar player. I mean, there's various reasons. I mean, of course, yeah, mistakes too, but there's also been like I've probably made 10,000 videos in 14 years.
One
Yeah, he's
thing
got
that
this
I
thing.
actually enjoy as someone who doesn't know a thing about playing guitar, like actually playing, is here and there, like you start your videos and you play the song or play the guitar
Yeah.
section that you're teaching for each video. And when you really slow it down, you can tell you struggle because it's become almost muscle memory. And not, I
For
don't want to say
sure.
really struggle, but there'll be parts where
Oh yeah,
be you thinking about it like, oh shit, what do I do here? Because you're going so slow instead of just normal tempo, you know?
it's absolutely the quickest way, in my experience. And what do I know? Is when you're learning a riff, it can be anything like Black Dog by Led Zeppelin, whatever, any riff. And it's so hard to get a student to do it. So I know it's hard to do, but play it so slow and get it perfect, like super slow, get it perfect.
And on
And
that,
then slowly speed it up.
and
And
on
that's the
that
quickest
exact
way to learn
note,
it.
so I've taken probably about a dozen guitar lessons, and not for a while because I just go to you. But one thing that
Good
I
choice.
have very much, and you were always the compliment to the guitar lessons, but I like to be in person.
Of course, of course.
Up, you know.
I like it.
But I'll just kind of mimic your hand movements instead of actually learning the music itself. How do I combat that?
Well, oh, you mean you're memorizing mechanics?
Exactly. Yes.
Right. Man,
Because you'll be playing like a lick, and I'll teach it to myself after X amount of time.
Right. Well, I would say if anytime you're jamming with someone else is really, I think, what helps that, because I mean, I hate to use the cliche like playing blues, but like in a blues jam, it's that universal language where you're like, I'm in this key. So you go, okay, I plug in, you know, I would say really, man, anytime you're playing, just in a moment, just stop and look at one of your fingers and try and name what the note is.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. For sure.
And the only reason for that is because that's like part of the communication. Hey, I got this progression. It's A minor to G, and then I have this little lick. It's A minor pentatonic. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you start to think about it that way. Also, there are amazing, absolutely virtuoso musicians who just learned it all instinctually.
Right.
Like Kurt Cobain, it was not a virtuoso, but that's another example where Kurt Cobain didn't know one name of the chord. Like he learned punk songs through ear and then came up with his own power chord things. And he just had that inner melodic musical like sense, but he didn't know anything he was doing. And he never had a proper technique lesson, nothing, you know.
Where's your pitch at? I'm just curious, just as a guitar player myself, do you have relative pitch, perfect pitch? Like, are you like in that range?
I'm like under relative pitch. Definitely not perfect pitch. I was a late bloomer to studying music. So I was flat. I was just trying to sing a G there.
I'm always interested. People with absolute perfect pitch. I know one of them. I have relative pitch. I'm pretty fucking lucky. I'm very lucky in that perspective. But I always wonder this about like guitar teachers. If somebody comes to you and says, I have perfect pitch, and then you test them and they don't, do you ever just look at them and you're like, you fucking liar? Like,
No,
it is a cliche.
I don't, I mean, honestly, like perfect pitch doesn't make you an amazing musician.
Agreed.
So honestly, it's just, you have, well, it's interesting. I just did a whole series for another channel site, Curiosity Stream, it's called. And I did a 6-part series just all on the brain and music. So each episode was a different doctor or neuroscientist, and we talked about every aspect of music. But what I would say for like someone with perfect pitch or relative pitch, or your little kid can sing a perfect key of a song that he remembered, that's usually the first sign of that. It's just like there's something there's a part of the brain that's just, you were born with a little bit extra juice and that little extra development, but it is a muscle, so you can work it. I've never, like, I had to do ear training stuff. Perfect pitch or even relative pitch was never like this goal that anyone in music school was pushing on me at all. Like, there was not. With relative pitch, you mean like sing the major third?
You can throw any note at me and I can call it out instantaneously. I have played major festival stadiums, playing the guitar to thousands of people. I've never taken a lesson. I don't know scales. I just music. This is the way I've always described it. My dad has like relative or perfect pitch. He was a blues musician. And the reason I never took lessons growing up, because my dad always taught me, this is just the way it was taught to me in my house, was that music is like water. It's not math. So going and taking lessons to me and my dad when I was a kid, which I now think is kind of asinine, would have stifled that and made it more like math than water. I think like what you do is actually break it down to a less formal atmosphere,
for sure.
And you give people this midway point where they don't feel like they're out here doing long division. They're just learning in a comfortable environment. And I think that's why you're so popular and why you become such a special part of the music community.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, that's interesting. I mean, there's so many different ways to look at any art form, and disciplines and for instance, that movie Whiplash, to what I do, I'm like the opposite of Whiplash, and there can be, I think, great results with either way. I talked to Marcus King about music theory, and he studied a lot of music theory, and it certainly didn't stifle his playing. But what I was going to say about that is that music is the best music that touches you, that's that magic stuff. It comes from pure inspiration and no thought at all, right? And you can hone various muscles, to then get into that flow state and have more tools to then flow out.
Right.
And that's certainly what Marcus King did. That's what Tony Hawk does. Tony Hawk didn't, he had to repeat the mechanics, the math of a trick, 20, 30 million times. If you've seen his documentary, it's incredible. And it shows you how much of like what makes Tony Hawk is actually in his psychology,
right?
More than physicality. It's the way his brain's wired, where he couldn't mentally stop doing the trick until he nailed it. And that was just in his brain, right? And so, like, I think probably like someone like Matteo Sasato or Rick Beato was like that. Joe Bonamassa was absolutely like that. Steve Vai. I wasn't quite like, I really enjoyed like hanging out with people and like being social and not just locked in my room playing all the time. I didn't quite have it. I think I had it enough though. But probably the other part that I had, where I say social or friends and all that, probably played into my greatest strength of combining teaching.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, Joe Bonamassa doesn't feel comfortable in front of a camera teaching his licks. Like, that's just not what he does, you know.
Right.
And I don't feel comfortable wearing sunglasses on stage. So
certain people are put on this earth to do certain things, and you can tell this is what you're meant to be here for. And I
I
think
absolutely agree. Thank you.
I think like we've taken up so much of your time already, and I love this so much, and I want this to be actually a reoccurring thing. I would like you to check in
I
on
would
Dave's
love it.
progress.
Yeah,
One of
let's
my
do
big
that.
questions is one time when you're in Nashville, I would love to
Yeah.
get you in a room with Dave, but I want you to go full J.K. Simmons from Whiplash, and I
Let's
want
do
you to just beat him down.
Oh, I can do it. I've told people, like, if you want me to do that, I will do that.
Oh,
I mean, I won't be like J.K. Simmons. I won't be like that, but I can. I say, I can kick your ass if you want me to. Like, I know what to do.
Hey, just a side note. We do have a really great relationship with Mark Agnesi and Gibson. We have filmed in
Oh,
there.
fantastic!
We should do something together at the garage.
Let's do it.
And
yeah.
I'll say this.
I'll be there most of November. I'll be in Nashville. So if you want to come over and I'll lay into you, man. I got the cattle prod and everything.
That's perfect. Because I need that cattle prod. I have tried playing the guitar in front of people for songs that I think that like it's pretty, like you can tell what it is, and like it's like, oh look, he plays guitar a little bit. And as soon as I start playing in front of, it could be just 2-3 people, I shit my pants.
Dude, totally, dude. No, dude. It's reps. That is reps. That is reps.
Yes,
I promise you. And I'm so nerd, like that Gibson event. Like my name's on the thing. People are all there to see me, and I'm just crapping my pants right before I walk out there. Like, I mean, there's just no way around it. But there's no other rush like it when you get that initial nerves out of the way, and all of a sudden you're all this like symbiotic energy together, and it's an amazing thing. I'll end with this, you know, because it's just a day in the life of Marty Schwartz. If anyone's curious, I've already shot 2 lessons today, and my wife and daughter are looking at colleges. So they just left today. So I am now, in the next 5 minutes, have to leave to pick my son up from high school. So that's the rock and roll lifestyle, man.
Right?
Yo, that's right.
Hey,
that's right.
Like one of us.
One last question. Yep. This is my final question.
Yeah.
All right. So think of the movie Richie Rich. Remember when Richie Rich?
Okay.
He has who does he have come to the house? Is it Reggie Jackson comes to the house to teach him how to play baseball?
Oh.
Have you?
Sure, yes. Yeah.
Have you ever had? I think it's Paul O'Neill. Actually, it's a Yankee. I forget who it is.
Yeah, you're asking if I've been the Reggie Jackson.
Have you ever been the Paul O'Neill? Have you ever had like a super rich guy who's like a movie star or something and wants to learn how to play the guitar, try and get you for lessons?
Yes, I have. Should I spill the tea? It's not a. I don't think it's really a secret. Or I mean, it doesn't need. I didn't sign an NDA or anything. I taught Jason Statham guitar, baby.
Come on.
He's like,
in person too. In person, not over video, at his house in Beverly Hills.
That's amazing. He's like in every kind of cheap action movie in history.
It was great. He had little 2 little like wiener dogs, you know.
Did the Yakuza or like a gang try to break into the house? And
no, I was waiting for that, but no, this was his downtime. You know, this is when he's low profile. It was like in between missions. In between missions.
You taught the transporter
to have like 2 Rottweilers, not 2 wiener
dogs.
No,
he's got this amazing Victoria's Secret model wife who's lovely. They're her dogs. But what I was going to say about that was I showed up and they're like little yappy dogs, and it was just funny because like he's really sweet guy, but like the dogs were barking, and he did like a Jason Statham at him where he was like, "You shut up." And it was just like, wow, dude, that was Jason Statham.
You're like, I've seen you murder so many people in movies, dude.
No, he was just like so cool. And I do actually have some tech guy that's flying me out to Florida to teach him for a weekend. But no indecent proposal or anything like that.
Hell yeah. That's how we wrap this shit up. But Marty, I really do. I want to
Yeah.
get together in Nashville.
Let's do it.
And we can get
Let's do
Dave.
it.
We'll be down
here.
there, and it's 3 hours door to door for me from Chicago. It's
Oh,
in and out. So
no, let's do it.
best.
Let's do it. My team should be real great connecting with you
They
guys.
are. Matt was
So,
awesome. So shout out
Matt's
Matt.
awesome. Matt is great. He's my newer guy, but he's just doing amazing. He was a tour manager for a band called Moon Taxi.
We had
yeah,
Moon Taxi on the podcast.
Yeah, they've been on our show.
Okay. So Matt was Moon Taxi's tour manager and lighting designer.
Hell yeah.
And he's got his second kid on the way, so he's trying to not be on the road. And Moon Taxi's manager, or manager that just stopped managing them, but it's his management company. He's helping me too. So he's like an advisor at the Maiden network that I work with. So like the network that manages my channel, it's all guys, and they're like the CEO is like 28 or 29.
Hell yeah.
So this guy Don, that was Moon Taxi's manager, he's like in his early 60s. So he's like the resident adult music industry guy.
Yeah.
He managed Soundgarden at one point, Tears of Fears, Lenny Kravitz.
What?
And he's only managing Kitten Surprise now.
Rainbow Kitten Surprise?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. I want to get hammered with that guy because he's got stories. I'll bet money.
Yeah, I mean, definitely been. Oh yeah. Oh, Don. Yeah. Oh, geez, forget about it. Yeah. There's a million stories.
Yeah.
And he's in Nashville, so if you come out, I'll make sure he's there, and you can ask him yourself because it's pretty good. John Mayer crashed on his couch, that kind of shit.
All right. Well, this has got to happen now.
Yeah, we'll talk soon, guys. I really appreciate you inviting me on. It was so nice to talk to you.
Hey, sincerely, thank you, because your footprint is all over music, and it's fun working with you, even though you had no idea you were working with me until 45 minutes ago.
That's the best part. That's the best part. I make my living that way. And
you don't got to talk to people.
Exactly.
That's right. That's right.
Ladies and gentlemen, everyone, because Marty's got to go do actual adult things. Go check out his YouTube channel. 3.5 million subscribers, beat 3.6. Get out there. Marty, hopefully we see you soon, brother.
Help me out. I need the help.
No, you don't.
Click the button. The link.
That's what I told Matt. I'm like, hey, usually we're like all for promoting guys.
Yeah.
I'm sure he doesn't need a lick from me. So
I'm always like, I would always say to anyone that plays guitar, like an Uber driver that plays guitar, like, I mean, at this point, someone that plays guitar, for them not to know me means they like really hated me the first time they saw me, because I'm everywhere.
I see all these Instagram like gag reels because my Instagram algorithm, it's barbecue food, guitar players, and hot chicks. So there's one, it's some guy, I don't know who he is, but he's super frustrated playing the guitar. And then it cuts over to his computer, and it's just a video of you like going nice and slow. You know what I'm talking about?
Dude, well, there's a bunch of those, but nothing sweeter than when someone makes one of those edits that I'm in that I did zero work on, because then I can share it. I feel like I have the right to share it, and then
you do.
I can use it as my content. And there's there's a whole series called YouTube Poop. And if you type in Marty YouTube Poop, like there's these crazy remixes where they've remixed my words, and it's just insane, man. It's really insane. Dude. Yeah. So anyway, I embrace it. Thanks again, guys.
Marty Schwartz, the GOAT. Thank you, Marty. We'll see you soon, brother. Holy shit. Hell yeah.
That's a guitar player right there. Thank you, Marty. Have a great rest of the day.